a lot going on in that particular chat. I have to say that Jordan Peterson's expression right here in this opening shot was my entire expression during the entire video. So I think that it's apt that I put it in the actual thumbnail for. Anyways, let's see. Shit, I've actually got. Hold on. Put in a little bit. Okay. All right. So we got Jordan Peterson here. What he's talking about is, do you believe in God? This right here is him attempting to answer it. It's 5 minutes long, but boy does he beat around the fucking bush about it. So this is me trying to figure out what he's trying to say to decide on whether or not I agree with him or not. Take it by the tone of my voice, you can tell where I lie on this after having watched this today, but hey, let's give it a shot again for the 17th time.
People often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question.
Right off the bat, he doesn't like the fucking question. I don't like that question because then I gotta answer that shit, and it seems like I might fuck shit up. You can tell it in his face right there. He's like, God, I'm gonna fuck this up.
First of all, it's an attempt to box me in a sense.
It is literally not an attempt to box you in. That particular question is open to any interpretation of God or supernatural deity. It is literally not to box you in. I don't know why you gotta frame it like it's to box you in, as if there's some kind of agenda in the question. This is a common question. Do you believe in God? It's not a boxing in kind of question.
And the reason that it's an attempt to box me in is because the question is asked so that I can be firmly placed on one side of a binary argument.
Oh, I know how he loves binary shit. Yeah, I mean, isn't he the fuckwit that has the whole gender thing?
Except for the two.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like the fact that it is a pure dichotomy, either yes, you do believe in God, or no, you don't. He wants to complicate it to the point where there's a mysterious third option where he can live comfortably and satisfy whatever fucking crowd that's going to satisfy. My guess is that he wants to satisfy the yes crowd, but at the same time, he doesn't want to hard commit to it. So, I don't know. Let's see where he goes with it.
And the reason I don't like to answer it is because A, I don't like to be boxed in, and B, because I don't know what the person means by believe or God.
This is the same shit I was wrestling with on Tuesday night that made me lose my shit, which... Guys, don't lose your shit in these conversations. It doesn't help whatsoever. I know that, but it didn't prevent me from losing my shit. I'm just telling you from learned experience, don't lose your shit. But when somebody's like, I don't know what you mean by believe, and I don't know what you mean by God. I mean, I get the need to have like definitions like defined at the beginning of any kind of conversation. I get that. But when your definitions vary so much from the colloquial use of it to where you can't even fucking communicate in normal conversations, I think that you need to reevaluate what definitions you're actually applying to whatever the fuck you're talking about. Let's see. Chrismer. Jordan Peterson, the ultimate postmodernist.
And they think they know. And the probability that they construe belief and construe God the same way I do is virtually zero.
Okay, so he's already assuming that he's already assuming what other people believe. Or what other people think about those two terms. So belief is just something that you consider to be true or a true representation of reality. That's what I would say belief is. You can have an opinion and believe it to be true, and that is a belief. It's a pretty simple concept. I don't know why he's got to fucking complicate it and shit. Fostering atheism. JBP is not a secret Christian. Excuse me. So he doesn't know what we mean by believe. He can't use just the normal colloquial use of it. What he has to do is he's got to. I know, I was talking. The Godless Iowan, JBP, is Bert after Ernie moved out.
That was funny. I'm sorry.
It was funny. I know. I know. It's fine. But he's wanting to deviate from the colloquial use of it, and I guess that's fine, but it also makes it difficult to actually have a conversation with you. So I don't know what he means by believe, because he actually doesn't go into it. But his version of God, he never defines God. God is not a deistic kind of God or anything like that. He doesn't bother actually going into the definition of God, but later on he does assume like the Trinity and the quote-unquote Logos and Jesus. So, I mean, it's obvious that he's working with a Christian version of God. Hey, Baruguba. Baguba. Jordan Peterson equals word salad generator. Almost as good as Deepak Chopra.
So it's a question that doesn't work for me on multiple levels of analysis, but
It doesn't work for me, so, I'm going to beat around the fucking bush about it, and I'm just not even going to fucking answer. So y'all can diddle your thumbs or jack off, I don't care. Fuck, I'll jack you off. I don't... No?
But strangely enough...
Oh, the fourth. Earbud warning! I just want to hear you yell it.
Just as we were talking, the answer to that question popped into my head.
I like this part in particular because it's like at the very beginning he's like, shit, how am I going to answer this fucking shit? I have no fucking clue. Why don't I just talk and I just throw a whole bunch of words and a bunch of doubt on what the fuck you're even talking about until it pops into my mind magically. Oh shit, look, there it is. It popped into my mind. Let's see what his answer is.
I act as if God exists.
Okay. He acts as if God exists, but you can act as if God exists and not believe in that God. But I guess it does kind of insinuate a bit of belief, I would say, that, it's like, oh, I'm going to act like I believe in God. Oh, okay. So you're just lying. I'm fairly certain Jesus doesn't like that shit. Okay? Even upon like the most stringent adherence to whatever fucking version of the Bible you want to, you're going to get up there and Jesus is going to be like, well, fuck, you're burning in hell there, JBP. Or Jordan Peter, JP? What does B stand for? Burton? What? Fuck? But so he acts as if a God exists. Well, I have a lot of problems with him saying that he just acts like God exists, and that's an answer to the question. Because it's not actually answering the question. He's given an answer to a completely different question. But in order to act as if God exists... Oh, Miss Snarky has my answer. Thanks, Rambo. Relambo. Jordan Buttfucker Peterson. So he's not answering the actual question. And in order to act as if God exists, then you have to have some kind of clear definition of what God is. So if you're saying that God is this moral agent that sets these moral laws and whatnot, well, which moral laws? Because you have multiple different versions of God that have multiple different moral systems. So you have to have some kind of idea of what God exists, and then you have to adhere to what that God wants in order to act like God exists. So for all intents and purposes, I guess you could say that he does believe in God, or he's lying. He doesn't believe in God, but he quote unquote acts as if God exists, which I don't even know what that fucking means if you're not going to define what your God is that you believe in. Young Merv says, did you watch Reds versus Jism? Jism holds another L. Yo, I watched it. I was there timing people the fuck out. We were moderating, yeah.
Now you can decide for yourself whether that means that I believe in him.
Well, I mean, it really shouldn't be up for me to decide what you believe. You know, you should just be able to be like, yeah or no. You should just be able to do that. But no, you've got to give an answer to a completely different fucking question. I don't understand why you have to do that, but you just don't want to answer, do you believe in God?
So to speak. But I act as if he exists.
Still have no idea what you mean by acting as if he exists.
So that's a good enough answer for that.
No, it's not. It's not even an answer for that.
Then with regards to these other issues, the divinity of Christ, well, I would say the same problems with the question formulation obtain.
Questions formulated with the what obtained? I feel like he just put a whole bunch of fucking words together and he thinks that that's a sentence.
What do you mean by divine?
Oh, Jesus Christ. What about it? I don't think this is whataboutism, but I mean, damn, it's the definition game. What do you mean by divine? Okay. Well, divine is anything of or relating to a god or supernatural entity. That's what divine would be. So let's see how he defines the word divine in this conversation.
And also, what do you mean by Christ?
Are you laughing at him or Chad?
Him.
Yeah, him.
Like, what does he define divine as? Also, what do you mean by Christ?
I don't know how you can seriously ask, what do you mean by Christ? I mean, he's got a half of a book that's dedicated to his ass that describes him pretty well. So I don't know why he's playing this definitions game as if like he's trying to defend himself against face fucking Monica Lewinsky. I you know, at some point he's gonna be like, it depends on what you mean by is.
He said by Christ, but
Jemshin says the extra asinine words he adds to his sentences give him time to think up more bullshit. They don't actually mean anything. I feel like that's what it is.
These are very, very difficult questions. Now, I believe that, for all intents and purposes, I believe that the Logos is divine.
Okay, so what's divine? Also, what's the Logos? You don't define that, but you want to define basic fucking words that we should all colloquially know. And I mean, honestly, I don't find value in people with such specific definitions that they can't just have a normal fucking conversation. That's really irritating to me.
Insofar as if by divine you mean of ultimate value, of ultimate transcendent value, yes.
How does that mean divine? Like, how does ultimate transcendent value mean divine?
I have a prediction. He's gonna ask what transcendent means. Does he ask what transcendent means?
I don't know.
Oh.
I can't remember. He's asked to define so many fucking words.
can you please define?
I would love to know what he means by define. So I don't understand his definition of divine. I get that he considers God to be like the ultimate source of good or the highest good or something like that. That's how he's defining God. And then, which, by the way, he didn't actually say at the beginning of this fucking thing. That's what he's saying is God, which is not at all what the God of the Bible is, but well, fuck us, right? So that's what he defines as God, and then using the definition, the actual definition of divine being that it's of or relating to a God or supernatural deity, that's how he gets there. He gets there by substituting in God for his own definition of what God is. And that's fine, but that's not technically what a generalized like idea of a God. A God is just a supernatural being that either controls our universe or doesn't do anything to our universe. It doesn't, like, to specify a deistic God, just a God out there. It's just a supernatural entity that exists outside or above the natural world, I guess.
It's divine. It's associated with death and rebirth.
Wait, divine is associated with death and rebirth. I guess it's associated with death and rebirth because of Jesus Christ, right? I feel like this guy digs a hole in a, like imagine a sentence is just laid out on the ground, right? And then he digs a hole and he goes beneath it and grabs a totally different part of land and pulls it up, and he's like, nope, this is what this piece of land looks like. And it's like totally not that piece of, like, that's not what the land looked like before. You totally went out, got some new fucking dirt from beneath it and pulled it up, and it was like, here it is. And all you have is dog shit there. That's where a dog buried his shit. Okay, Jordan?
Clearly, because the Logos dismantles you and rebuilds you.
The Logos dismantles and rebuilds you.
That's because you're made of Legos.
I'm made of Legos.
According to Jordan B. Everything.
Legos. Could I be made of Legolesses?
No. I don't know.
It would be a lot of hair, though.
So that's what happens when you make an error. When you make an error, some part of you has to go. That's a sacrifice. You have to let it go. Sometimes it's a big part of you. It's
Okay, so basically he's saying that when you make a mistake, you metaphysically die and you're reborn a new person. That would make sense if, like, you made one mistake and then you never made that mistake ever again. Like, that would make sense if that were the case. But KC can attest, I fuck up all the time, and I fuck up repeatedly on the exact same particular matter. So no, you don't make an error, then die metaphysically and be reborn into a new fucking person. That's not how shit works at all either. At what?
At all.
At all. What? Et al or at?
it's sometimes it can be such a big part of you that you actually die.
You literally fucking die. You understand me? You literally drop dead, and then your ghost is raised back up, and then you inhabit another fucking body. You're all fucking possessed right now by somebody else's goddamn spirit, which we're probably going to get to here in a second.
Right, instead of dying and being reborn. Is there something more than merely metaphorical about the idea of dying and being reborn? Yes, there is, because those are associated with physiological transformations.
Like, what physiological transformations? I don't understand this whole, like, it's because of physiological transformations. Like, you made an error of eating a cheesecake, and then all of a sudden, oh, I don't like cheesecakes no more, and you lose 500 pounds? Is that what you're talking about? What the fuck are you talking about when you string all of these words together in a nice little word salad? Can I get some ranch for this fucking salad?
What's the ultimate extent of that? That's a good question.
That's a good question. Not like the fucking question we started with. The Godless Island said, I was once the banana that TJ Kirk. It's too soon.
The question is, what happens to the world around you as you increasingly embody the Logos? And the answer to that is, we don't know.
So we don't know what happens to the world around us as we embrace the Logos. Well, for all of the definitions that you seem to require in order to even have this conversation, you actually haven't defined what the Logos is yet. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what it means to embrace the Logos. I don't know what that means. The Logos in the Bible is Jesus Christ. So, I mean, that makes sense if you're talking about Jesus. But you actually haven't defined the Logos, what it means, or how it actually affects you if you embrace it.
We don't know what the ultimate level of this. Now, the hypothesis is, and it's a hypothesis that extends to some degree to Buddha as well.
The hypothesis, I sincerely doubt this is a hypothesis. At best, I think that it's a shit-covered opinion.
hypothesis is that there has been one or two individuals who managed that, and that in their management of that, they transcended death itself.
How do you transcend death itself? I'm guessing he's talking about Jesus Christ dying and then rising again and living on. But that has never been actually proven to be true. So your hypothesis doesn't stand up to what we know about biology or history. So I don't understand why you're saying that this is like still up for debate. Like, we have never experienced anybody rising from the dead, especially in cases of what we see for Jesus. I'm not sure about Buddha. I haven't researched Buddha, how he died or anything like that. But as far as Jesus goes, being nailed up on a cross, exposed to the elements, and then stabbed in the ribs, you're not fucking surviving that shit, if it even happened.
Well, then you might ask yourself, well, what do you mean by transcended death?
God damn it! Yes, what do you mean by transcendent death?
Well, in the case of Christ, let's assume he was a historical figure for the time being, which I think is the simplest thing to assume.
Well, it is the simplest thing to assume, but it is just simple for me to assume there's a big dick elephant that's flying around the sky that's threatening to piss rain or piss like hellfire on us. So, it's simple for me to just accept that. It's a little bit harder for me to fucking prove it, don't you think?
I think there's sufficient evidence to conclude that. You could conclude otherwise, but I feel that there's sufficient evidence to conclude that.
And I feel there's sufficient evidence to doubt that he even existed. So, obviously, we're at odds on this point, and maybe you can discuss this evidence that you seem to know that proves he existed. I think it's fine if people want to consider him to exist. Perfectly fine. I think that the evidence presented doesn't really make sense, but if you're not told about the other side of the argument, I could see how people would believe it. I don't fault them for that.
Is his resurrection real?
Okay, so he just said, is his resurrection real? And I want you to count how many seconds it actually takes him to answer this, okay? Hold on.
Sufficient evidence to conclude that. Is his resurrection real?
1, 2.
Well, his spirit lives on. That's certainly the case.
Well, I mean, he still hasn't answered the question. But I do appreciate him stopping to think instead of filling it with like just word salad for the whole 2 seconds right there. But his spirit, I don't know what you mean by his spirit.
In what sense do you mean spirit? Just to qualify that.
Fucking God came out of nowhere to ask that one. Thank you, God. Thanks.
Well, let's imagine that a spirit is a pattern of being. And we know that patterns can exist, patterns can be transmitted across multiple substrates, right? Vinyl, electronic impulses, air, vibrations in your ear, neurological patterns, dance. It's all the translation of what you might.
So let me get this straight. Spirits are sound waves. Spirits are recorded on vinyl. Spirits are dance. Like, seriously, you're diluting the word spirit down to mean any fucking thing at all. Like, right now, it's spirits exist on vinyl records, which when the vinyl record plays, it vibrates the air around you, and that itself is a spirit because all spirits are patterns. So we're going to abstract the fuck out of what I'm talking about so that I can literally mean anything ever. 420 Devil Dog said, "Today, Junior!"
Describe as a spirit. Right? It's that pattern. It's independent of its material substrate. Well,
spirit, as far as we know, as far as the supernatural version of spirit goes, it's not independent of substrate or whatever of the material that it's in. It's a supernatural thing. It's like how we actually define spirit in normal fucking conversations is that it's like this supernatural version of yourself that encapsulates your characteristics, which I guess you could say is a pattern. I guess you could say you could write that on a fucking vinyl or a CD or a cassette tape, what the fuck ever. I guess you could do that. But at the same time, that's not the conversation we're having. We're not talking about some shitty Johnny Depp movie. What we're talking about is fucking ghosts, spirit, visions of ghosts. That's what we're talking about, Jordan. Just stay on topic as to what we're actually talking about instead of transforming it into something that you can maneuver into any conversation. A Baguba, okay, he's worse than Deepak Chopra. J. Chopra. Miss Snarky said, JP, Ghost Hunter.
I would watch that show.
Yeah. Well, the metaphysical substrate that we're working with here is the air, so therefore your electronic devices are fucked. We should definitely try to dance these spirits out. You guys can't see it.
You are called the dance.
I am the dancing atheist.
Christ's spirit lives on. It's had a massive effect across time.
No, Christ's spirit hasn't lived on. Like, the whole idea of Christ has lived on through help of like the Roman the Roman government and everything like that, and through many people adopting it. Christianity has lived on, and that's where the whole idea of Christ came from. But the spirit of Jesus has not affected anybody because his spirit doesn't exist. We have no evidence, no scientific evidence whatsoever to say that spirits exist, let alone Jesus. His spirit exists. Yeah.
Looks so thoughtful.
He does, doesn't he?
Well, is that an answer to the question? Did his body resurrect?
1, 2, 3.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Of course you don't.
I'm fine with people saying that they don't know if a person's body resurrected from the dead after being crucified, played as a pincushion, and then thrown in a cave for 3 days. I get people saying, I don't know, but at the same time, rationally, you should conclude that he probably didn't. Like, even if Jesus existed, there's no way he would have survived that. Also, the accounts afterward are not acceptable, really. I mean, they're totally biased. There's no independent accounts, and it just goes against all physics, biology, and everything.
I don't know.
What? I gotta admit, the first time I watched this, I was a little worried that I was buffering. So I was like, "Oh, buffering. Every day we're buff." Oh shit, he answered the question.
No, he didn't.
Well, yeah, he didn't. But
The accounts aren't clear, for one thing. What the accounts mean isn't clear.
what the fuck me?
Moment.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, people. I've got to restart my shit and stuff. Just the camera. Nothing else happened. How are y'all doing? Do y'all talk amongst yourselves and shit? Don't worry about the little dinging stuff. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, well, I forgot to remind myself.
Oh, this Iowan said rapture party. Oh, Lee said Godless has transcended the physical plane.
I did. I transcended people. It's amazing.
Godless has astral. The Logos is rearranging.
I died and I am reborn. That will never happen fucking again. Thank you, Jesus. Let Jesus compel you.
I don't know happens to a person if they bring themselves completely into alignment. I've had intimations of what that might mean.
Into alignment with what? I guess the Logos, but what does that even fucking mean at this point?
God's asshole.
God's asshole? Are we bringing it into alignment so we can shove our heads up his ass and totally be brown nosers? Yeah, that's it. I got the thumbs up from KC. That's what he's talking about. He's imagined what it would like to be aligned with God's asshole. Looking up. I'm prepared to enter, God. Let me get a big sniff of that colon. Oh, it smells holy.
Goatsy.
It's Goatsy God. It'd have to be fucking Goatsy God to fit everybody up there.
Klepto said better research.
Yeah, I do.
We don't understand the world very well.
I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, we definitely know fuckers can't rise from the dead, okay? You saying that, oh, we don't know the world so well, it's just a cop-out for you to be like, well, I guess he could have risen from the dead. I mean, we do have all these fucking books, right? It's the simplest answer that he rose from the dead. So, boom, I guess he rose from the dead. Am I right, guys?
Yes.
Of course, the interviewer right now is like jacking off furiously, like, please answer more questions with non-answers. I can imagine the interviewer like, I'm transcending, Jordan. Keep going.
We don't understand how the world could be mastered if it was mastered completely. We don't know how an individual might be able to manage that.
With one ring to rule them all. That's how you master the world, with that one fucking ring. The precious. Oh, the precious.
We don't know what transformations that might make possible.
Okay, so I guess basically, I think what he's saying there at the end is if Jesus did exist and he perfectly aligned with God's asshole or whatever the fuck he's talking about, perfectly aligned with the Logos, he perfectly aligned with it and he rose from the dead, I guess him perfectly aligning with it and dying allowed him to rise from the dead. Like, this goes against everything that we know in, like, nature and all that kind of shit. So, I don't know what he means. If you have an inclination as to what he could fucking mean in this, I would love to hear it. But as it stands right now, I don't know where he stands on the question of, do you believe in God? He says that he acts like he believes in God, but that doesn't actually answer the question. He says that, oh, I'll leave it up to you as to whether or not I believe in it. No, motherfucker. I asked you a question. Don't tell me to tell you what you believe. Just tell me yes or no. Or say, I don't know, and be like an agnostic of some sort. I mean, honestly, I don't see the appeal of saying, well, I don't know if I believe in a God. And being an agnostic that way. I don't see the appeal to it because it's like, well, if you don't actively believe in a God right now, then you would be atheistic on the question of, does God exist? And so to me, it's just a logical, like, binary, like a logical dichotomy there. You either believe or you don't. If you don't know, then you definitely don't believe it. So, I don't know. That's just me. I'm not here to shit on you on how you like to identify yourself or anything like that. I don't know what Jordan Peterson, obviously he thinks Jesus existed and that he's one of these people that perfectly conformed to the Logos and got shoved up in God's anus and then shat back out so that he could rule on earth with the one ring. All right, heathens. Well, that's it for the video tonight. It was kind of a short one, but we did have to stop a lot. It was about 40 minutes, though, so that was pretty good. We're going to be doing some comments. If you guys are leaving, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to share this out. Give me a like and subscribe if this is your first time here.